Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a coffeeless edition of Coffee with Dr. Scott. I'll explain why here in just a short minute. Today, we are going to go through part three of our goal setting sessions. So, we're finishing up our goals today, and we'll never have to look at them again. If you know me, you know that I'm being sarcastic right now. But we are going to finish up the goal setting session. So, by the end of today or this week, we should have our goals pretty well spelled out and feeling really good to us. But I'm going to give you a fair warning. Come Thanksgiving, I'm going to ask you on Thanksgiving morning to spend some time playing with these goals. Just sitting back in a state of gratitude on Thanksgiving morning, or at least Thanksgiving weekend, and just review everything that we've done so far and kind of help that set in. Plus, you should be really looking at it every day between now and January, and then at least weekly all through next year. But anyways, today we are going to finish up part three of three. If you're joining me here, please answer the question in the question of the week up there in the description, which is, speaking of Thanksgiving, who's the cook for Thanksgiving dinner? Tell me what the traditions are in your family, in your house, how that works for you. Do you cook the turkey? I've always wanted to cook the turkey. I've done it a couple times, just in random little places here or there with family, or when we weren't able to travel or something of that nature. But it's always been my goal to have the big Thanksgiving dinner at my house. We just haven't gotten there yet. Right now it switches between grandparents every year. I always get to carve the turkey. They always call on me for that. I'm good working with the knife and the meat. And then I make a mean sausage and apple stuffing that everybody raves about. I'm quite proud of. I'm also pretty proud of my carving skills. But I'm looking forward to that day where, well, I shouldn't say that because they'll probably have to be gone for it to come to my house. And I don't look forward to that. But I do look forward to having Thanksgiving dinner at my house, which is the explanation for the coffee. I'm obviously out of my element a little bit here. We are staying at the in-laws' house for a couple days, which is where we'll be having Thanksgiving this year. So I am in my father-in-law's office where they run a little eBay business. So those of you who know me know that I like simple and very minimalist type stuff. Over here. This clutter and stuff over here. Like I said, they run a little eBay business out of here. They're retired and they just kind of do it for fun, but they do a lot of it. And there's just stuff and packaging and all kinds of things everywhere, and it's kind of blown my mind. Another reason why we don't have coffee on today's Coffee with Dr. Scott, because there is no good coffee in the house. There's only that Maxwell House Folger stuff, and not something I'm going to be drinking. So I drank it yesterday to be polite. And today I just decided I just can't do it. Anyway, so let's get into the goal setting. But again, please, if you're joining me, put me being out of my element, I'm also on my daughter's computer. I'm hoping everything's working out and you can hear me okay. If you can, make sure you push that little thumbs up button. And let's get into the goal settings and answer the question of the week. Goal setting. So by now, in session one, you should have just brainstormed a whole bunch of goals in 4 different categories. We won't go through that again. If you don't remember, either go back 2 weeks ago to the show or click on the little link up above for the launch prep registration. Just sign up for the course. I've actually packaged all these videos into a little course that's completely free to chiropractors. So you can just go watch it over there. It's even got a written description of everything and kind of walks you through the process. So you should have done your brainstorming. Last week, you should have put timetables to all those goals, and you should have picked out your top 5 to 7 goals, like the ones that you really, really, really need to accomplish in 2020. Not necessarily 2020. They could be longer term goals, although we are going to boil them down to that. And today we're going to make them SMART. And I'm sure you've heard of the SMART acronym for goal setting. I would love to change it and make it mine and brand it as the Chiro Launch Goal Settings Workshop Session. But the SMART one works just fine, and I'm really too lazy for that. So we're just going to use SMART, and we're going to get our goals to it. It's worked for me for years. It's worked for hundreds of thousands of people. I'm making that number up, but I believe that. And it works for some people who some great leaders. So I think it's going to work just fine for us as well. So you are going to take those 5 to 7 goals, and you're going to take each one individually and make it SMART. That's the plan this week. So again, you should have 5 to 7 goals, one in each of the 4 categories, and then maybe a couple other stragglers laying around that you want to accomplish. and you're going to break them down and make them smart. So the S stands for specific. So I really want you to get very, very specific here on these goals, which means several things. One, let's say it's a vacation you want to take, or a car you want to buy, a play goal. Those are things that you need to be as specific as possible. Like, how long do you want to stay on this vacation? What places do you want to visit? Like, you want to spell it out to make it really alive in your brain. If it's a car, what color it is, what do the seats feel like? You really want to get specific with those things. When it comes to business or personal goals, that might be like a number. Maybe it's how many visits you want to see in a week. I still want you to be specific in the sense that I want it to mean something. I don't want it just to be a flat number that you chose because it was somebody else's goal. And I say that because I see a lot of docs out there that might say, hey, I want to see 100 patients a week, or I want to see 200 patients a week, or I want to see 250 or 300. And they pick this round number that I don't feel like has a specific meaning to a doctor. In doing it, they're like, oh, it'd be nice to see this number, but it really doesn't feel like anything to them. And the best example I can give is for me in fitness. So this hopefully will help you as far as an analogy is concerned. But I've always wanted to clean and jerk, if anybody knows what that is. So the barbell's on the ground, you pick it up to your shoulders, then you throw it up overhead. I've always wanted to clean and jerk 295 pounds. And people are like, why wouldn't you just want to do 300? And there's a couple weird little reasons, some of my eccentricities, as far as why I don't care about 300, because that's, it's just a number like that everybody throws around like this is some big border of 300. And I think 200 patients a week is the same thing in chiropractic. And I would just be happy with 295. Like 295 hits my goals. 295 has a bunch of big plates on the edge of it, and that makes me happy. And to put a little 2.5 pound plate on the end of it to make 300 wouldn't make me happy. It would actually make me feel weaker. So again, that's just a little thing in my brain. But the point is, 295 excites me, 300 doesn't. I want you to find that for yourself too. And that might seem like a silly example, and hopefully it is. But with your practice, don't pick 100 or 200 250 just because it's something out in chiropractic that everybody wants. Really back into your goals. So if you're is your goal really to see a number of office visits? Do you really care about that number, or do you care about the lifestyle it gives you? Do you care about helping your community, and do you care about those things? So those are the things obviously that I think apply more than the actual number. So if that is your goal, then break it down. How much money do you want to make in a week, month, year? And back into your AVI and how many new patients it takes and your number. And maybe it's not 200. Maybe it is 197. But I feel like that specificity, if you know why it's 197 as opposed to just saying 200, I think it has more power. So again, for me, 295, which I'm actually going the opposite direction of that, but I still have goals of getting back into it. My best ever is 285. So I only had 10 pounds to go, but I haven't been doing that kind of Olympic lifting. So I've kind of faded away from that. I need to pick it up this year. And you the same with your practice goals. Just make them specific. Really write out, take that goal where it says 200 patient visits a week. Again, I'm using it as an example. And be specific, back into it and find out what that number is. Take that goal that's a vacation and really be specific about it. Take any financial goals and really break those down as to what you need to make per month, per week. And if that goal is out 6 months, what do we need to do now in order to get to that level? So be as specific as possible about all 5 to 7 of those goals. But again, in my opinion, you should take one goal and go through the whole SMART analogy, which we'll keep doing here. But by the time we're done, we want all 5 of them, obviously. So specific. Get as specific as you can about each of those 5 to 7 goals. Measurable would be M. So since you're being specific, measurable to me means if you have a goal out here 6 months from now, a year from now, how are we going to know we're on pace? How are we going to know we're getting there? Obviously with office numbers, financial things, those are measurable because they're numbers. So it's very easy for us to say, hey, if we want to save, $10,000 a month for the year, we want to save $120,000 next year, 3 months in, are we a quarter of the way there? Do we have $30,000 saved? It's very measurable, very easy to do that. But it really should be for everything. Even with the vacation, that's going to take some money. So if you want to take a vacation a year from today, it's going to cost this much. Are you saving enough along the way so that it is measurable? Obviously, health and fitness. If you want to lose weight, those things are very measurable. But make them measurable, but also be able. Not that you have to put together a little chart on the wall with a what do you even call those? Where you can do that, but so that you could make each of your goals that way. So if something is a little bit more in your brain and not necessarily numbers based, make it measurable. Make sure you find a way that you can see if you're on pace for that goal. Next one would be agreed upon for A. And this one's somewhat debatable out there. I have my way of doing it. You got to find your way of doing it. Some people say that you shouldn't share your goals. You should keep them to yourself until you accomplish them. That's a smaller faction out there. A lot of people should say you should, blast them out to the world. And if you look around me on Facebook here, I'm sure there are plenty of people telling you what they're going to do, or there's going to be coming up here. That's not my style. But some people feel like that would hold you accountable. But again, kind of a shotgun method. I feel like you need an accountability partner, somebody that you have your goals with. For me, it's my spouse. So, spouse, I say that out there. For me, it's my wife. So we share our goals. We know what each other's goals are, and we hold each other accountable. And when we want to talk about them, we do. So having somebody like that, where your goals are agreed upon, is very, very important. So after you get these SMART goals finished, you should go to that person and say, here's what I want to accomplish in 2020 or beyond. And have weekly, monthly meetings with this person. It could be an accountability group. It could be a mastermind that you have. It could be a group of chiropractors that get together on a Thursday morning and have coffee, whatever it might be. Share these with somebody. Make sure they're agreed upon with somebody. Have someone, obviously if you have a coach like myself, somebody who can look at them and say, you know what, this might not be reasonable. We're getting to R next. Maybe we start here, hit that goal, get some success, and move on. I'm already getting into R. But get somebody that you can agree upon, and will hold you accountable. Let's move on to R, which is reasonable or realistic. And this is a tough one for me because I've been telling you this whole time to be unrealistic. I've been telling you this whole time to just go crazy and write down everything you want and not worry about whether it's realistic or not. But as we get into these 5 to 7 goals and we get into making them SMART, I really do want you to have some sort of realism, some sort of reasonableness that you can accomplish this goal. So again, if we're looking at something 6 months out, it might be a goal that is tough to accomplish in that period of time, and maybe we shrink it down a little bit to make it reasonable so that we get success. For me, success begets success. So if you have goals out there that you've had for 30 years and you haven't accomplished any of them, you've not even come close to them, I'd rather bring that goal down and make it actually easy to accomplish. Something that's right there within your grasp. Now, I will always say that there's more within your grasp than you believe, and it'd actually be a lot easier for you to get that than you think. However, as you're reaching for that goal, I want you to be able to attain it and then be able to set a new goal. So I would much rather you set goals, again, that are reasonable. It's not to say that don't stretch yourself. Please do. But make sure it's something you can get to. And once you get to it, we can set another higher goal. Because that's one of the things that's probably most dangerous about goal setting, is setting a goal but not having another one after that. I know myself when I used to run marathons, I ran 3 of them and they were miserable. So don't take that as like I'm a big marathon runner. But when I used to run them and I had goals for them, every time I crossed the finish line, the next 2 months of my fitness life were miserable. And the fact that I accomplished my goal. I got there. I finished a marathon. I finished a marathon in a certain time, and I didn't have my next goal set up. I just kind of floated. I kind of floundered. And that's something I don't like to see in chiropractic practices. So I want to make sure that you have that next goal as well. So don't be afraid to set a shorter term goal that's not easily, but reachable. And then start stretching yourself as you go. But as you start to get success, start to build some momentum is where the magic comes in here. So reasonable or realistic, make sure it is something that you can get to in the time frame that you chose, which is the T, which is time-based. So when I talk about measurable and I talk about reasonable, these time-based goals, we've really got to adjust them. And if you're looking at a goal right now, one of your 5 to 7 goals is like 3 years out, I would still shrink that down into what can you do in 2 to 3 months and 6 months and in a year. And maybe one of those is the focus. You know that's your ultimate goal is to get there 2 years from now, 5 years from now, but you've got to do it in shorter steps, right? If that goal is 5 years out, it's very easy for you to be like, I'll worry about that later. And before you know it, that 5 years is gone. And now we're a month away, and you haven't even worked on it yet. So I would shrink those down into probably a 6-month chunk of what you can accomplish on a time-based goal, knowing that you're going to continue working on that goal. It's one of your big ones over the next 5 years. So your assignment for this week is to make all 5 to 7 of those goals SMART. So again, I would take one goal. I would be as specific as I can about that goal. I would make sure that it's measurable. I would, find out who I'm going to agree upon it with, and it might be different. It might be that you do your professional goals with your staff. You do your personal goals with your spouse. You do some of your financial goals with your accountant, whoever it might be, but you might have different persons. So figure out who you're going to agree upon it with. Make sure that it is reasonable, attainable, achievable, that you'll get some success and be able to build upon that. And then make sure that it's time-based. And then move to the next goal and go to the same thing. Go through the full SMART acronym and get all those done as well. When you get all these 5 to 7 done, and I've been getting great feedback already just from this program, from both clients as well as people just reaching out on Facebook, that they've been setting these goals and already they feel better. Their practice is growing. They've started doing some of the actions that they needed to do in order to get those goals, even just in the process of it, and they're really feeling good about it. So I hope you're feeling the same way. Finish up this goal setting this week, because next week we start off with spring cleaning, and then we work into capacity. We're going to do some marketing. I forget all the reactivations. Let's see what else we got here. New patient procedures. We got 7 more weeks of getting yourself prepared for 2020. But your next 7 weeks should depend on the goals that you've just set. So when I give you assignments over the next 7 weeks, it's going to be based on what you want to accomplish. And it's going to be for you, not me just telling you to do these things. It's going to be do these things based on what your goals are. So I really want you to get these goals refined, feel really good about them by next Thursday when we come back for the show, where we will be working on spring cleaning. That is the next session. And again, come Thanksgiving, I'm going to come back around to this goal setting. I want to make sure that you've done it. You didn't just set it aside, you keep it in front of you, but that we kind of do a little bit more refinement process over the Thanksgiving holiday. Again, for me, when you're in just space of gratitude, it's a great time to look at those goals. So I hope you all have a great weekend. Yeah, it's Friday. Again, I wasn't able to go live last night. Obviously, like I said, we're in the in-laws' house. Just a lot of stuff going on. So today's Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back next Thursday. Make sure you hit that little like button and talk to me about Thanksgiving in the comments. Those will be below. The questions above, the comments are below. I will talk to you all next week.